This is what Times Square in New York used to look like, and here's what it looks like today. Closing Broadway provided much-needed space for foot traffic, and the surrounding businesses experienced increased sales as a result. But that's not the reason for closing Broadway to vehicles. New York was running an experiment. They wanted to see if closing this road could ease congestion in the area, and it actually did. Traffic flowed more smoothly, average travel time was significantly improved, and the change was made permanent. As me and my homies have always said as of 3 minutes ago, more roads, more problems. Wait, huh? This is a really weird concept. If congestion is bad and traffic jams are frequent, then you'd like there to be more roads, or at least more lanes on the existing roads to handle more cars, right? Well, maybe not. Imagine a hip and happening downtown music scene with quality bands and singers performing on every corner. There are tons of different artists playing, and no matter where you go, there are no lines or frustrating crowds to deal with. Everyone gets to see live music. Everything is great. Now imagine Taylor Swift rolls into town. All of these people go cray-cray for Tay-Tay, since she definitely deserves to sell more tickets than a struggling local band, and she's definitely in no way to blame for her long-running saga of dramatic relationships. People go nuts, crash the Ticketmaster site, flock to her show, saturate the roads and parking lots and the public transit systems and the sidewalks, and absolutely wreck what was previously a smooth functioning system just because they now all prefer to be at this particular concert over any of the other ones. Now just imagine Taylor Swift as a road, and it kind of makes sense. When a shiny new road pops up that directly connects 2 points with a shorter path, people naturally prefer to take this more efficient route. But as more and more people start to prefer this road, it becomes less and less efficient. If it's a popular enough road, things can back up so badly that everyone is worse off than before, sometimes to such an extent that the traffic problems can be solved by closing existing roads. In 2012, a tanker truck hauling fuel was crossing the Matilda Bridge in northern France when it collided head-on with another cargo truck. The resulting fire caused devastating damage to the bridge, which would be closed for 2 years while extensive repairs were made. The Matilda Bridge is one of only a few ways to cross the Seine River, averaging 86,000 vehicles every single day. Shutting it down with no notice was expected to massively disrupt traffic flow in the area. Newspapers quickly sounded the alarm over impending doom for commuters. Traffic across the other bridges did increase to compensate, but not by nearly as much as expected. Despite 62 million cars having to reroute their journeys over the following 2 years, people adjusted and life went on as usual. Total vehicle crossings over the Seine River were simply reduced as drivers better organized their trips and traveled more efficiently. After extensively analyzing data from across the US, economist Matthew Turner remarked, "We found that there's this perfect one-to-one relationship. If a city had increased its road capacity by 10%, then the amount of driving in that city went up by 10%. It's like the two figures were moving in perfect lockstep, changing at the same exact rate." This kind of makes sense when you think about it. Demand tends to rise with supply. When more of something is available, people usually use more of that thing. More roads for the cars means more cars on the roads. Take this backed up 2-lane road. A common suggestion would be to add more lanes to ease congestion, but simply adding more lanes without adequate planning can make the problem even worse. In this example, the bottleneck is still in place, but now the complexity of merging slows everyone down. In this example, the problem is obviously, well, obvious, but this simple concept can manifest in far less obvious ways, where the actual bottleneck can lie many miles ahead, and often there are several bottlenecks that cause new roads or lane expansions to be entirely pointless. Take, for example, Boston's Central Artery Tunnel project, known as the Big Dig, which was completed in 2007. Costing taxpayers $22 billion, it set the record for the most expensive highway project in the United States. It included a 1.5-mile underwater tunnel and diverted traffic away from the heart of Boston with the goal of reducing traffic jams. 1 year after the Big Dig officially opened, the Boston Globe released a report on the resulting effect on traffic flow. And the news did not look great. They reported that many motorists commuting at rush hour are spending more time stuck in traffic, not less, and the existing bottlenecks were simply pushed farther down the line rather than eliminated. One 11-mile stretch that averaged 12 minutes of rush hour commuting time before the Big Dig now took 25 minutes to travel. At several other points analyzed, they consistently found new delays ranging from 3 to 5 minutes. None of this is what you want to hear after completing a project that costs more money than 2 United States nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. Road construction will always be necessary. When planned well, new roads save time and provide immeasurable value to the economy and to society. But without deep analysis, they can easily do more harm than good. In fact, a paper published in Transportation Science not only confirmed that a new route can increase travel time, but if placed at random, the odds of that happening are about 50%. And they used a bunch of that fancy nerd math with squiggly lines instead of numbers to prove it, so you know they're right. And this applies not only to new roads, but also to expansion projects like adding additional lanes or building carpool lanes. Understanding this paradox is crucial since billions of dollars are spent building new roads each year, and the construction process can slow down traffic for years before a road is complete. After all of that, the last thing you want to hear is that the new road actually made things worse, and you could have ended up better off just by being cheap and lazy like I am. Transportation for America addressed this issue by dropping their fire mixtape, The Congestion Con, packed with absolute bangers like, put simply, our investments aren't working, and we are spending billions expanding our roads and failing to see a payoff. Their diss track against the Department of Transportation states, there is certainly little to no evidence that widening roads is helping reduce, delay, or congestion, yet we have doubled down on this incredibly costly solution that appears to be completely disconnected from whether or not it can solve the problem. They have data to back this up too. In the 24-year period studied, road capacity grew by 42%, while population only grew by 32%. Meaning there should be plenty of road for everyone and congestion should be better. But somehow, in that period, congestion worsened by 144%, and states alone spent $500 billion building these roads. So if building more roads doesn't do the trick, then what does? Well, they point to the way we build communities being designed to cause massive congestion. Sprawling development forces people to drive farther, and we perpetuate an endless cycle by building new roads in rural areas to encourage development. They suggest that instead of pouring billions into useless construction projects, we get smarter about how we develop urban areas. Put destinations closer together and do a better job of connecting streets to encourage walking and public transit. They point out that people living in areas already like this drive 1/2 to 1/3 the miles that other people do. So if the data is there, the math shows us how all of this works, billions are lost on pointless roads, we all suffer by spending more time stuck in traffic, and we cause catastrophic damage to the planet as a result, then why doesn't any of this change? This topic is a very counterintuitive concept. It's exactly the sort of subject that is impossible to get people to listen to long enough to understand. You can almost feel the frustration in Transportation America's report as they try to get through to society. It's almost like taking a fad diet pill to lose weight instead of diligently creating and following a diet and meal plan. Throwing piles of money at the problem to build more and more roads doesn't take much thought, and it seems like it should work, but it doesn't. It takes a large change in focus and a lot of mental effort and comparison, but we all stand to benefit from pushing to restructure how we build communities and from advocating for deep thought and analysis into the impact, both positive and negative, of any project before we all pitch in to pay for it.